Hey everyone, this is Michael. I want to talk just for a few minutes here about the truths about this Wayfair human trafficking scandal. All right, so last Monday, just a few days ago, we know that many people started noticing pillows, shower curtains, metal cabinets, and other items for sale around $10,000 each on Wayfair.com. If you don't know what Wayfair.com is, it's a site where you can buy a bunch of different furniture, knickknacks, and stuff like that. Though there were several replicas of each item, people found that the same item had different prices and different names. And oddly enough, many of the names happened to match up with recently missing children. So the conspiracies really hit the fan on this one. Everything went pretty wild, and you really can't blame anybody for this. I mean, are you in the market for a $10,000 baby picture book, or $9,000 pillow, or a $13,000 metal cabinet for your garage or whatever? Now, Wayfair officials have made public statements about this, and they're saying that the items, as far as they're saying, actually the cabinets are accurately priced because they are industrial grade cabinets. So they're saying that yes, $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 industrial grade cabinets are a thing, totally normal. But at first they didn't have anything to say about the $10,000 and up throw pillows. Now, of course, these items have been removed, all of them across the board, but Wayfair did eventually say that they took down the throw pillows. There was curtains, there was baby books, there was actually many different items that were like 10 grand and up with kids' names in the title. And these items, they said were glitches. They said they were priced this way and it was a total glitch. But they're saying that, yes, we knew about the cabinets being priced at over 10 grand, and that was totally normal because they're industrial grade. So what they're saying is that they're not denying that these listings were there first and foremost, and they wanted to justify it. Now, I actually did some research myself on these some industrial cabinets. So I found some for $3,700, pretty pricey for an industrial cabinet. These were on other websites, and that's because they are fire resistant. So they're supposed to hold, important pieces of paper, and it's pretty expensive. But the average cabinet that looked like the ones in the pictures were about $1,300. So it still doesn't seem justifiable to sell a $10,000 cabinet. Now, after they made these statements publicly, a lot of people were going back and forth saying they're lying. This is really a big theory. They're in on it. Everybody's in on it. People started pulling in Bill Gates. People started pulling in Soros, and people started pulling in, the Rothschilds and anybody you could think of, and Trump and the Clintons and Epstein. I've heard everything. And just started pulling in all these names to start justifying people's opinions for or against. Some people have even been searching the SKU numbers. I know people that have actually done that, and they find that if you type in the SKU numbers, they bring you to Russian pornographic sites if you type them in other platforms showing underage girls. So they're saying there's a link there between the underage girls, and it's a sex trafficking thing. Reports are coming out from actual Wayfair employees stating that they've seen these $10,000 cabinets, and they are way heavier than they should have. That you'll have actually the same cabinet for sale for $1,000, and it looks the same. It's the same manufacturer. It's the same cabinet. It's not as heavy, and it's selling for $1,000. But when it's $10,000, it's really stinking heavy. And they didn't think of anything of it at the time, but more employees are coming out saying these things. So some people have been sharing a photo of the definitions of Wayfair being broken into two words, waif and fair, meaning the waif, apparently some derogatory term for lost children or orphans, and fair is actually, it's what you pay for a transport of an item. Typically it's a transport of a person. So what they're saying is that Wayfair itself, it means the transportation of lost children. So what do we actually know? What do we know to be factual? What do we know to be true at this point? So we have a lot of different ideas. We know that human trafficking is a thing. It's a terrible thing. It's a big thing. It's a global thing. It's been going around a very long time, and it is underground, and it is real. And yes, there are human trafficking businesses that are all over the place. There's different fronts. different places are doing sex trafficking, human trafficking. I grew up off of the I-5 corridor. Now I live off of the I-25 in Colorado, but the I-5 corridor that goes essentially from Canada to Mexico all over up and down the West Coast. Human trafficking is a huge issue there, and many semis have been caught with underage girls and boys. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's not just sex trafficking, it's also organ harvesting. So people knock out the kid, take their organs, and then they just die in the process. So that is a thing that's happened all around the world, and sometimes a little too close to home, even though we don't like to talk about it. We know that many politicians and big business owners have been involved in these things, in these complete evils against humanity. We know that to be true. Now, we also know that Niraj Shah, who is the CEO of Wayfair, was said to have stepped down on Monday because of the allegations against the company. We now know that that's not true, that was completely made up. And the CEO, Niraj Shah of Wayfair, is still the CEO of Wayfair. We know that Wayfair excused the prices for $10,000 industrial cabinets that seemed to have nothing interesting about them, and having almost the same cabinets for a tenth of the cost on the same site. We know that they said the prices were correct, and that the $10,000 pillows were somehow a glitch. And so either way, they're all deleted. So I've decided to look online, and like I said, I found $3,700 was the most expensive industrial cabinet I could find. And that's because it's pretty heavy duty and fire resistant. Most all of them are about $13,000 to $1,300. So I don't like the inconsistency of that story. We all know that about a year ago, there were mass protests from Wayfair employees because of the company's involvement in areas where human sex trafficking was common. This was, you could look at it, it's about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, there were mass protests from the employees of Wayfair saying enough is enough. We don't want to be involved in these areas. We don't want to be involved in human trafficking and sex trafficking. That was well known a year ago. But I'm going to tell you something that you probably didn't know, because about Wayfair, and it is not public knowledge. This is a public video. I'm going to upload this to YouTube, but I want to let you know this is not public knowledge. Some of you business people figured this out already. But Wayfair does not own any product. That's right. Wayfair is a store that doesn't own stuff. Lowe's does the same thing. Sears does the same thing. Victoria's Secret does the same thing. They don't own any product. Home Depot actually owns product. What they do is 30, 60, 90-day deals with manufacturers to hold product on the shelf. It doesn't sell, it goes back. Now, what Wayfair does is a little bit different, and it is actually a massive, possibly one of the world's largest drop ship companies. So let me explain what that means. If you ever heard of Alibaba or DHgate or any of these websites, what they do is or Wish.com is a massive drop ship website. Now, what it is people will actually, it's a business where they sell other people's products, okay? Other companies can sell on these sites. It's not like eBay, where it's an individual. It's a little bit different, where manufacturers can sell things. So think of Etsy. Etsy is a website where individuals can sell stuff. Wayfair is a website where corporations can sell stuff. And they have a lot of stuff. And Wayfair has always had really cool things. Some stuff crazy expensive for no reason, and no exception here. But it's a dropship company. So what that means is any and all companies involved in Wayfair that are caught, if are caught in the human trafficking, is not Wayfair as a company. It's not, because it's individual companies selling on Wayfair. You may not have known this, but I've actually spoken with a Wayfair employee, or former employee now, I should say, who really opened up and let me know. I'm not going to name who it is in case there's some kind of protection thing, but let me know how Wayfair works behind the scenes, and saw some sketchy stuff and ended up leaving. But the investigations are open. There's no conclusions made. So making any judgment calls on Wayfair, its associates, or the companies with it, without a proper investigation or conclusion would be unjust. It's calling us the judges. Now, you can find enough evidence to say, yes, this is disgusting. There's a lot of human trafficking in the world. Easily, you can find that evidence. To say that Wayfair was selling children, you could probably come up with enough evidence to believe that. You can also come up with enough evidence to believe that that's incorrect, that it's not true. But we don't have a full investigation. We don't have a conclusion. We have judges in place for that exact same thing. Now, if you want to believe that Wayfair is involved in these things, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to shop with them. You don't. It's kind of expensive anyways. Starbucks, I don't really like to go to Starbucks. They're pretty anti-Semitic in a lot of ways, and they promote the boycotting of Israeli products while they, use computers with Israeli stuff in it. But my point is, instead of spreading a lot of stuff about Starbucks, I just don't like to go there. No big deal. Now, what if this were true? Well, if this were true, then we are completely held accountable by our knowledge in this moment. That we are held accountable to our knowledge in knowing that children would be abducted. Now, one girl did get online and say, "Look, here I am. I'm not abducted. That was my name. That was my missing photo." But you guys got to understand that there are millions and millions of kids with these names. That's another way you can prove or disprove it, or prove or disprove that video from that girl. But we don't want to be crying wolf. We don't want to be stating things that are not, stating things that are a theory at this point. But the word conspiracy and the word theory do not always have to go hand in hand. There are lots of conspiracies that are true. We're finding this more and more with Epstein and what was going on with him and his island and these prostitutes and the Clintons. The continual investigation going on with the Clintons. We're finding a lot of stuff that was just conspiracy theory is really just conspiracy, becoming conspiracy truth. But we don't know that yet. Now, what if this is not true? Well, if it's not true, then we're kind of screwed either way. Because we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. But if it's true, then we have the responsibility to protect children. And that is bottom line. We have the responsibility, especially if you believe in the God of Israel, you have a responsibility to protect life and to preserve life above all things. And that certainly includes children, lost children, abducted children, and children in general. But if it's not true, then what we're doing is continually bashing a company, CEO, and individuals who are really not involved. Now, let's say it is true, but it's not Wayfair, because Wayfair is a dropship company, and it's the individual companies. I trust that Wayfair would do the right thing and dump those companies like a sack of hot potatoes. We're going to go with that analogy. And apologize and move on. Now saying the $10,000 pillow was a glitch. We deleted it. But a $10,000 cabinet, that's not a glitch, totally normal. We could justify that because it's industrial grade. $10,000 shower curtains? Are those industrial grade shower curtains? What are you showering with, acid? I don't know, but it's sketchy no matter what, no matter which way you look at it. This whole situation is sketchy. It's unnerving, just like all of 2020. It's kind of insane. However, we have to do more than just a little bit of research on the Google to come to our conclusions. Believe what you want to believe, but I'm going to wait for a little more evidence. I pray that this is not true. I pray that this large company that has been used by many people, even myself and my household, is not a company that's involved in human trafficking. A year ago, hundreds maybe, of Wayfair employees said we don't want to be involved in human trafficking and left the company. So this whole thing is very, very sketchy. I can tell you that. But until more evidence comes out, this is what we know. And what we don't know, we cannot assume. Either way. So bless you guys. I hope this video was helpful. Hopefully I didn't go too long. And this is the truth so far about the Wayfair human trafficking scandal. Thanks for listening.